Hello, sister, and welcome to the Magdalene Wounds course. My name is Kara Gilligan, and I will be your sacred guide through this journey into healing, awakening, and empowering the heart of the feminine within you. The Magdalene Wounds are the 3 core wounds to the divine feminine in patriarchal societies. These 3 core wounds were carried by Mary Magdalene, and they manifested as our misperception of Mary as being a prostitute, as being a woman possessed by demons, and a woman waiting to be stoned. Those 3 core wounds are the shaming, the demonizing, and the casting out of the divine feminine from our collective consciousness. And we actually see these wounds in Judeo-Christian history projected onto female characters again and again and again, from Eve to Jezebel to Mary Magdalene. They are the wounds that are projected onto the empowered feminine, onto a feminine that acts, a feminine that speaks out, a feminine that is strong, a feminine that stands up for the goddess, that stands up for wisdom, that allows her voice to be heard, that manifests sacred love. And these wounds block us as women from truly doing that within ourselves. How often, as you're living your life, and let me just tell you, these wounds operate on such a deep subconscious level that you might not even be aware of how they're working for you or how they're working in you. So let me give you a few examples. The first wound, the shaming of the divine feminine, correlates to Mary Magdalene's, the misidentification of Mary Magdalene as a prostitute. And this really responds to that virgin whore programming that all women have to go through concerning their sexuality. Now, our sexuality is really our personal power. It's much more than just how we express ourselves through the actual act of sex. It's actually our life force. It's our desire nature. It's our vitality. And it's our ability to really express what we want in our lives passionately and creatively. So women, from the time they become young adults, start to get programmed with these messages around, it's good if you are a demure, kind of virginal, repressed woman sexually. Let's repress the power in you. And women that come out, and women that own their passions and own their desires and own their sexual ecstasy and their capacity for sexual ecstasy, whether that is actually through sex or whether that is through their lives, are kind of seen as being dirty, right? Whereas men, they don't receive that programming. That's something that is uniquely programmed into women, and it affects you. It causes you to unconsciously deny aspects of yourself and aspects of your personal power. Then if we look at the second wound, that she was the woman possessed by demons. This is the wound that I fondly call the bitch wound, and it really has to do with the heart and has to do with how we show up in relationships, right? So how many times have you seen women, like we're programmed, like our identity structure is programmed to take care of the needs of others first. That is a programming that has come into the female gender through the lens of patriarchy. And what happens when we put others' needs before our own, and through thousands of years where we actually had to be dependent on somebody else to support us, and somebody else had to approve of us and had to like us and had to think we're beautiful and choose to marry us for us to even have a future, right? What happened is it developed this really deep codependency within women where we actually associate our worth as the feminine and in femininity with our ability to caretake, with our ability to rescue, with our ability to be pleasing and acceptable and to be liked by others. And unfortunately, when we don't awaken from that second Magdalene wound, it keeps us very repressed in relationships. What happens is women that kind of own their rights and own like putting their power first, they're kind of seen as like the divas and the bitches, right? We project a negative, Magdalene wound onto that. And then the women that have to stay in the codependent identity structure to get their needs met usually have to resort to some passive-aggressive manipulation pattern in relationships to get their needs met. That's typically called bitching, right? We've seen it happen. The woman's really repressed. She's not really in her personal power, and she has to use these subversive measures to get her needs met. And ultimately, either way, we end up being disempowered because we still have that Magdalene wound operating on a deep subconscious level. And then, of course, there's the third Magdalene wound. That she was the woman waiting to be stoned, and this is what I like to call the witch wound. This is really it's the fear of being cast out from the tribe. And there's been so much trauma for women healers and priestesses, and not even that. There's been the witch burnings and the women being persecuted, women who own the divine feminine. But really, this goes much deeper than that. This is about how patriarchy programs us to survive through homogeny, through not expressing our uniqueness, and this fear that if we showed who we really are, that if we let that magical essence of our unique essence, our unique purpose, our unique character come out, other people are going to think, oh, you're weird, I don't want to be around you. And so if you're running a business, if you are just a woman who's seeking to manifest your purpose in the world, or even manifest your desires in relationship to others, or become fully expressed, fully awakened, fully empowered, yet you don't feel supported to be uniquely who you are, and you're carrying that subconscious fear of being seen, that fear of being visible, that fear of being cast out by the tribe, you'll subconsciously self-sabotage. And I see women do this all the time in my coaching practice, especially when it comes to getting visible in their gifts, but also when it comes to really owning your authentic brand, owning your authentic beauty, owning the truth of what you are, and being that instead of trying to make yourself acceptable or like everybody else. When the three Magdalene wounds heal, we awaken three qualities in our life. The first quality, the healing of the first Magdalene wound, is awakening our divine power, the power of desire, the power of passion, the power of vitality. Again, the power of our sexuality as women, and learning how to use that consciously, creatively, sacredly, to not only manifest our own dreams, but to become a healing template and for the world, a template for a new form of power, a new form of feminine womb power that brings us together in community and compassion and intuition. When the second Magdalene wound heals, we really open our heart, and we really start to see who we really are as the divine self, as, Yeshua, the Christ consciousness, or the Krishna consciousness, that divine self within all. We start to see that, and that starts to become the template for how we negotiate need within relationship. Not just relationship with our beloved, of course, that's the most sacred reflection we could have, but our relationship with all beings and all life. And that leads to what I call mutuality. It leads to compassionate communication or nonviolent communication. It leads to owning our personal boundaries compassionately, while also being conscious of the divinity in others and honoring that too. And this is an intelligence. It's really the heart of the Magdalene wounds healing, is the intelligence of relationship and how to manifest that, not just in your intimate relationship, but really in your relationship with everything, with power, with money, and with the divine masculine in the world at large. And when the third Magdalene wound heals, we awaken that visceral experience of our personal uniqueness, and it connects us into the principle of unity. You know, we like to think in patriarchal societies that equality is what's really going to bring us together. And I'm not knocking equality. Equality is great. But unfortunately, equality does not heal the third Magdalene wound. Unity does. And unity is a very different experience. The reason is because unity honors the uniqueness and the difference within the creation. And it shows that every single piece of the creation, every single piece of this divine feminine expression of life has a unique essence and a unique purpose. And when you come into that unique purpose, you give everyone else permission to come into theirs. This is actually the technology by which we will create that new world, that sustainable, harmonious, one family planet that so many of us have within our hearts. The Magdalene Wounds course is a healing journey through these three core wounds of the feminine. You will see how these wounds are uniquely expressing within your life and within your business and within your relationships so that you can change them. It includes healing transmissions, and these transmissions actually come from the Magdalene spiritual lineage. This was a lineage, a lost spiritual lineage of European priestesses who were initiated into the feminine path of God realization by Mary Magdalene after she left Jerusalem and came into England and then France after the crucifixion. And this was a lineage of very wealthy and powerful women who were skilled in the healing arts and were ultimately on the path of divine love, or what's called in the East Bhakti Yoga. And they themselves were receiving the divine being as their beloved and really allowing that divine being to awaken them, to come fully into them, to fill them with the light, to fill them with healing gifts, to fill them with wisdom, and so that they could be stewards of material or matter, Mother Nature consciousness, and could serve the people from that place of light. And while this lineage had to be kept in secret during the Middle Ages and eventually was killed out, was persecuted and killed out, people like me and other souls are here awakening it again, because it's now time for the women with midwives, the spiritual healers, the priestesses, the lovers of God, to really awaken and come into your power, to steward the new paradigm of family, the new paradigm of relationship, the new paradigm of wealth consciousness, the new paradigm of economics that are formed in God. And those are all aspects that we cover in this sacred journey, this 10-week course that awakens ecstasy, divine love, and sacred union within you, healing you sexually, financially, in your relationships, and in relation to your own unique purpose, so that you can manifest sacred union with men, money, and your purpose to really live your dreams and serve your calling. So please read about this course. We're going to start in January, and the healing transmissions are there for you to use after you've taken this course any single time. This is really an activation that will bring you deep, deep, deep into a path of healing, into a path of awakening, and into a path of your personal empowerment that prepares you to manifest both sacred wealth and sacred love in your life. I hope you give yourself this gift, and I hope you join me on this sacred journey. With all love in the beloved, I am sending my light and blessings to you, and looking forward to having you in this program. Ciao.